Okay, so I've almost lost my voice, so I'm gonna try to do this top 10 worst movies of 2017 list pretty quick. But first, I got some honorable mentions to mention here. Sorry, dishonorable mentions. These are movies that were awful, but I couldn't fit them on the list because I only did top 10 this year. Um, so guess I'll mention those now. I'm not gonna show the posters because that just takes more editing time and there's quite a few of them. So actually, there's like 5, but still. Friend Request was a really bad horror movie, but didn't make this list. Laser Team 2 was a movie no one saw, but I saw it and it sucked. Yeah, it's a pretty bad sequel. Amityville: The Awakening was an unnecessary sequel, or reboot, or whatever you want to call it. It was left on the shelves for years, and now it's finally been released, and it sucks. Don't Hang Up was another really bad horror movie, but no one saw that either. And The Shack was really bad. It was a really bad Christian movie. But I couldn't fit it on this list in good conscience because there's 10 movies that were worse. So, okay, I'm gonna get really mad in this video probably, so I really am gonna lose my voice this time around. But we're gonna start off with a hilarious movie. The Bye Bye Man is my number 10. Okay, so The Bye Bye Man, I could almost say is my number 1, but it's so funny and incompetent that I just couldn't do it. I almost didn't even put it on this list, but it's such an awful movie that I had to. If you remember, I gave this a C- when it came out, and I still have it at a C- because this movie's freaking hilarious. It's so funny. It's the most incompetent horror movie of the year, even more incompetent than my number 9, but my number 9 pissed me off more. The Bye Bye Man was just a lot of fun to watch. Like, this was one of the more fun theater experiences I had this year, but it's an awful movie. It's so bad. I was in awe at how bad this movie is, but I couldn't put it any higher because of how much fun I had watching it. So The Bye Bye Man is number 10. Number 9 is another horror movie, as I said. It's Wish Upon, and this movie just sucks. This movie is just awful. It's incompetent, it's edited poorly, it's lit poorly, the story's dumb, the characters are awful, and they're idiots. The ending is freaking just stupid, as is the credit scene. And it just wasn't fun to watch. This is an awful horror movie. Like, it just, ugh, yuck. Okay, enough talking about that. My number 8 is Kidnap. I don't know if anyone saw this, but it possibly contains Halle Berry's worst performance since Catwoman, honestly. If I'm being completely honest about that. She's really bad in this movie. Like, she's awful. And the editing is something to behold, I could say. Not in a good way. Oh, wow. This movie has some of the worst editing of the year. It's just another random, kidnap story. Oh, the mom's gonna do it. It's like, this is the Halle Berry's movie, The Call, again. Like, this same plot was in The Call, except she didn't chase the kid from the beginning. In The Call, she did it later on in the movie. But nonetheless, it's essentially the same thing. And it was awful. But yeah, okay. My top 7 here are probably more movies I could talk about. My number 7 is a movie that people don't like that I have at number 7, but I had to do it, the Emoji Movie, because I saw 6 movies that are worse than the Emoji Movie. The Emoji Movie is something of an oddity. It's such a cash grab, but it's so blatant about it that I almost respect it in a weird way. But it's so bad that, like, it just bored me. Like, that's the other thing. I just couldn't even get as mad about it as I could these other movies because it was just boring. It was just an awful, boring mess. And it was just a blatant cash grab, and I hated it. But my number 6 is a movie I can get more mad at here. Trust me, I can get more mad as this list goes on, especially with my number 2 and my number 1. But my number 6 is Chips. Such an awful comedy, such an unfunny train wreck of a movie. I didn't hate this as much when I first saw it, but the more I thought about it, I hated it more and more and more. And the whole movie's just jokes about rim jobs, and it's so bad. It's such an unfunny, boring mess, and it's kind of embarrassing, to be honest. I hated Chips. Okay, number 5, The Snowman. The most incompetent thriller, apart from The Bye Bye Man, this year. Most of the movie wasn't even shot. Like, this is a 2-hour movie that's missing about 30% of the movie. I'm kidding, actually. It's more about 15%, but it's missing about 15% of the movie. Like, certain key details aren't even in the movie. So you can't solve the mystery because there's nothing to solve. There's no puzzle pieces there. It's such an incompetent movie. Someone will be, I don't know, walking around in the field, and the next shot they'll be sleeping on a bench or something. Like, that's a thing that happens in this movie. Like, it's such an incompetent mess with Michael Fassbender at the middle of it, and that just made it even worse. It's something to behold, I'll say that. The Snowman is awful. Number 4, Descendants 2. Okay, so I know this is a TV movie, but my number 1's a straight-to-DVD movie, so I'm just judging off the movies I saw. And Descendants 2 was awful. There was like this weird audio thing going on with the background audio. It felt like they filmed it without any microphones. It's like their microphones died halfway into shooting and half the movie's filmed without microphones. It was just weird. But not just that, it's just a poorly made movie. The dance numbers are awful. The acting's really bad for the most part. Dove Cameron's okay, Sophia Carson's okay, but it was just a really awful, low-budget movie. Even for a TV movie, this was poorly made. No, I'm done talking about Descendants 2. Number 3, Sandy Wexler. Okay, so I have a video of me watching this movie on my channel. Go check that out if you'd like. And you could tell in that video that I was so bored that I wanted to kill myself when watching it. Because this is Adam Sandler's most boring Netflix movie to date. He's made one good Netflix movie, The Meyerowitz Stories. I think I pronounced that right. That's a great movie. Go watch that. He delivers one of his best performances in that, if not his best. But Sandy Wexler was annoying. It was boring. It almost put me to sleep. It was awful. It was predictable. It was over 2 hours long for a story that could have taken maybe 80 minutes at the most. I'm done talking about Sandy Wexler. My number 2 is the most pissed off I've probably gotten about a movie this year. I don't know, my number 1 I got pretty pissed too. Maybe if not more. But this is a more competently made movie than my number 1. Transformers: The Last Knight. Okay, I hated this movie so much. I hated it when I saw it, but the more I thought about it, I hated it even more. It's still a D+ movie compared to some of these other movies that are like D- and D's on my list. But this pissed me off more than any of those. Because this is the same thing for the 5th time, and I'm done. I am done with this franchise. This is a franchise that started out like a lot of fun. I really liked the first movie. The second movie sucked, but the third movie was a lot of fun. But man, did it go downhill. Okay, so this movie's like probably the most boring movie I saw this year. Like I saw Sandy Wexler and The Snowman this year, so that's saying something. I almost fell asleep in the theater watching this. It's nothing but dumb explosions and boring nonsense with a story that doesn't make any sense, side characters that are annoying or just pointless entirely, and a story that's the same thing again for the 5th time. And it's 2.5 hours again for the 5th time. Ugh. No. If you like this, I don't like you. I'm kidding. But I'm very concerned for you if you like this movie. Unless you know it's bad. That's the only way I could see someone enjoying this. Like, they know it's bad, but they're just kind of having fun with how bad it is. I can kind of see someone having fun with how bad this is. But I didn't. This sucked. This was awful. Okay. My number one. The worst movie I saw this year was a direct-to-DVD movie that I saw on Netflix that was pandering, that was the most stereotypical vision of my generation out there, and it was downright offensive. Bring It On worldwide, hashtag cheers smack. I saw this. Okay. This is the most leftist, almost. Like, it's not really a leftist movie, but I'm gonna, for the sake of this analogy to work, kind of an analogy, for this description to work, I'm gonna say leftist. The most leftist viewpoint of my generation that there is, and I feel offended for my generation. Okay. People have lives outside of social media, people. It isn't about what's going on all the time on the internet. I know there are people who are obsessed with their social media and all that fun stuff. I get that. And I get making fun of them. But when your movie's trying to say, or when your movie's message is that you shouldn't post on social media more, because that's what they think you're concerned about, that's just downright offensive. People have lives. I'm sorry. I know there's those few select people out there who are obsessed with their social media, and that is their life, and I get that. But when your movie's trying to say that's the whole generation, that's everyone, and you are included in that, when I am the exact opposite of that, that pisses me off. This movie also has the dumbest characters. This movie makes all girls look like complete dumb disses. And it makes guys look really stupid too. So this movie can't appeal to anyone because it's downright offensive. It's the most stereotypical viewpoints of teenagers, and I hated it. And the character's arc was just so dumb, and the whole lesson, it's like, this isn't a good lesson. I'm sorry. Because no one's gonna listen to your message when it doesn't apply to them. There's no point in making this. Why? I hated it. It's awful. It's not even well made, which is what it gave it the edge over Transformers, I think, for me, as the worst movie of the year. And Bring It On worldwide, hashtag cheers smack. Ugh, Christ. Is the worst thing I've seen this year. Okay. Now I'm done. 2017's over. I'm done talking about these movies. I'm done with this year. I'm moving on in 2018 now. We got Insidious: The Last Key next weekend. I'm actually kind of excited for that, not gonna lie. Might be seeing that on my worst list of next year, we'll have to see. But yeah, so this has been an excellent year. I can't wait to see what we have next in store as far as movies go, and just as far as life goes. So yeah, that is my top 10 worst list of the year. So, peace.